What is happening, y'all? Cowboy here, and welcome to my ultimate sorcerer guide. Now, sorcerers in Dragon's Dogma are the masters of the elemental forces, capable of dropping meteors out of the sky, creating tornadoes, ice storms, big pillars that come out of the earth, pretty much whatever you would want. I've always been a fan of the sorcery in Dragon's Dogma, even though it's one of my least played classes, just because visually, spells in this game are so freaking cool. Like, a lot of games, magic is just like pew pew, and here magic is like boosh. It's just monumentous. But either way, let's talk about the Sorcerer. Very, very powerful class in terms of damage potential. This ranks right up there alongside Magic Archer and Thief, one of the strongest classes in the game. In terms of our equipment, Dragon's Wit is going to be the best in slot. Now, real fast, I've had a couple people mention a different staff, which I maxed it out just to compare, the Caged Fury. And they were like, oh, when you're at max health, it's better. But I'm at max health here, and this is not better. Not by any means. So I'm not sure. Maybe you need like a ring. Maybe it's tied to your total health. But in my case, at least, Dragon's Wit is by far the strongest option we have available. Moving on for gear, I like the Promethean Hood. Deadly Nightshade is another really solid choice. The Orphic Robe. Alternatively, you could consider the Cardinal Robe or the Ares Morpho Robe. A Fanatic Waistguard. There's also Crimson Hosen, Runic Gaiters, and then Jewel Woven Sandals. All decent choices, but we like to match our fashion around here. Admiral's Mantle, Ring of Triumph, and probably most importantly, Ring of Loquacity. Loquacity? Probably Loquacity. Anyway, this is probably one of the most important things to play a late game sorcerer. There's not all that many enemies that can silence you, but getting silenced, it shuts down your whole flow. So obviously having access to this ring is going to ensure that enemies cannot shut you down, because nothing is worse than being in the middle of a big cast and then somebody goes, no, and they just turn it off. You're like, wait, what? Why would you do that to me? In terms of gear, we're going Dwarven across the board. On the weapon, though, I would suggest going for Elvish. Knockdown is a little bit goofy, I feel, with magic. Like, you have spells that are gonna knock down, and then spells that are more gonna do damage, so you're better off just pumping your damage even further. Either way, let's jump on in, take a look at the skills, and talk about what we run. Now, I do want to stress that out of probably every class in the game, I think Sorcerer really comes down to preference. And now this is true with pretty much every class, but the thing is, a lot of these spells are viable in a variety of situations. And so it's very much going to come down to just what kind of flavor of sorcerer you want to play. The current spell set I have, I would consider to probably be a very solid all-rounder slot. But, you know, obviously feel free to switch stuff up. I'm going to be breaking down what I'm using and why. But either way, another thing I want to mention real fast. So I do not plan on doing a guide for Mage. Because if we swap over to Mage real fast and look at our weapon skills, we have the same damage stuff that we have as Sorcerer, and then a bunch of support-oriented stuff. So in general, pawns get relegated to the Mage role because a lot of players don't just want to sit and spam the heal and spam the boons and whatnot. I do have a pawn Mage guide already, but in terms of doing damage as a Sorcerer, which is the goal here, doing damage with magic, Sorcerer is going to be superior to Mage in every way. But with that being said, let's talk about the spells. So High Flagration. This is essentially just a flamethrower. You can move with it, you can target with it. Pretty fun. I'm not the biggest fan of this though, just because I got to get closer than I would like to the enemy and kind of commit to use it. It is pretty cool just having a flamethrower though. Levin is absolutely goated. This is one of the fastest skills in the game. It comes out incredibly quick. You can snipe harpies out of the air. You can hit Cyclops eyes with it. Very, very good skill. If you want a super fast cast, I'd highly recommend Levin. Frigger is my favorite spell that unfortunately isn't very good. This is a 2-stage ice spell, which will create a pillar of ice and then a secondary pillar of ice. It creates a platform you can run and jump off of. It creates little blocks that can be picked up and thrown at enemies. It's super good. It just unfortunately doesn't really connect that much. It also depends on your distance to the target, so spacing is very important with this. Visually, I love it. Unfortunately, in practice, I don't think it holds up that well. High Spell Hold is very interesting. The idea here is we take a spell, we store it, and then we can just use it on demand. There are obviously a lot of cases where this could be really good. But to be honest, once we get access to Quick Spell and we can pump our stamina to get the spell up, I think the value of Spell Hold begins to fall off. We can't use Spell Hold for our super big spells, things like Meteoron or Maelstrom. The idea is you'd have like a Haggle on prep or a Thundermine on prep, which could be good, but at the end of the day, I'd rather just quick and can't. Salamander is another spell that I absolutely love. We create a giant firewall under enemies that is going to cook them and do some damage. This kind of falls off against bigger targets, but this is a fantastic trash killer. You'll just cook them on up. Thundermine is a phenomenal defensive skill. What's great about this is it's not the damage. It's the fact that when you put this thing on up, anything that comes close to you is getting tased. Little enemies are going to get knocked away. Larger enemies are going to have a slight flinch. The nice thing about Thundermine is I can put this out and then I can focus on my other casts and I don't need to worry about stuff running up on me. High Haggle is absolutely goated. This blizzard is all about freezing enemies and freezing them solid and making it to the point where they can't move. I'm a big fan of Haggle. It doesn't really have that much damage, but I think it makes up for it in the immense amount of CC that it offers. Decanter is going to take health from enemies and pull it on into you. If you don't have a healer in your party, this is a decent choice, but to be honest, I feel like this role is usually fulfilled by somebody else. I'd rather have damage and not worry about healing. Seism is your go-to physical damage move as a caster. Now, typically Seism is a auto-include. You have to have it because if you're dealing with golems or enemies that are magic resistant, this is the way to pump damage into them. However, once you get the ultimate skills, those can replace Seism. Until you have those, I would highly recommend you have Seism at all times, because otherwise you're going to fight a golem and be like, why can't I hurt it? Argorial Flare is one of the most busted abilities in the game. Even using this as just a sorcerer. You put it on enemies, you pop, and then it detonates like a bomb. This is especially effective in Warfare, combined with things like Skull Splitter, and even if you just have like a Thief as one of your pawns. They're going to tear this thing up. Either way, this is pretty much an auto-include. You get this on a Dragon's Heart or like a Cyclops' Eye, they're dead. Talking about the ultimates, we have two, and you can put both on. Maelstrom and Meteoron, aka High Bolide. Now, Meteoron is one of my personal favorite spells. This is a long incant, but it's going to summon giant meteors that rain down from the air. These will decimate lesser enemies. They'll decimate larger enemies. When we were streaming a sorcerer, I actually managed to target it and snipe a griffin's face with one of the meteors, which did like, I think 2 to 3 bars of health from that one meteor, and then it died a second later from the rest. Very good spell. You're locked in place while you are casting it, and you cannot use this in caves, which is the only real downside of this. If you're in caves, Meteoron ain't going to be happening. Maelstrom, on the other hand, you can use in caves. Now this is going to create a giant tornado on your screen. Little enemies will be lifted up and yeeted into the air. Big enemies that are stuck in it are just going to take huge chunks of damage. You can combo this with Argorial Flare to create like a mini nuke, basically. Very potent spell. Personally, I don't like this as much as Meteoron. I just think meteors flying out of the sky and hurting enemies looks cooler and feels cooler than a giant tornado. But from a pure utility perspective, I do think Maelstrom is the better spell, since we can use this outdoor and indoor and combo it very effectively with Argorial Flare. I just prefer Meteoron. Core skills are all pretty simple. Don't discount Levitate. You can use this to juke stuff in combat. You can use it to reach all sorts of areas. It's fantastic. And then obviously Quick Spell. Keep in mind you want to be using your class ability to get back stamina while you are quick spelling. Moving on over to the Augments. Asperity, increase the likelihood of inflicting debilitations with your attacks. Now, to be honest, the main reason I have Asperity on is just so Haggle is going to freeze enemies up. That's it. I want Asperity to ensure they are getting frozen even easier. Knockdown resistance, so that if something gets close to me, it's not going to interrupt my cast. Physical defense, magical defense, subtlety, and then lastly, zeal. Looking at some other stuff, you could do dynamism, but generally with a sorcerer, you're either at light or very light, so I don't feel it's as important as it is with other classes where you're rocking heavier armor. Additionally, where did it go? Catalyst is a decent choice if you're running a more elemental focused setup. We are not here. Meteoron, I think Meteoron is actually considered like pure damage. I don't think it counts as fire. I'm not 100% on that though. And as far as I know, Argorial is considered like a pure form of magic. I don't think it has an element assigned to it. So we'd only be looking at Thunder and Ice in terms of weakness. So I don't really think Catalyst is going to be worth it here, especially because the Ice spell we have is more about the debilitation than the damage. And Sagacity, unfortunately, just isn't worth it. In the prior game, they were huge boosts. Here, it is a flat boost. So just to put that in perspective, I have 1,010 magic. It would put me up to 1,040 magic, which at that point is it's just not worth it, man. I don't know why they made it weak here, but yeah, I feel like it could have been a lot stronger. Some other thing that is worth consideration, Ambuscade with Meteoron is pretty funny to get like fat damage at the opening of a fight. Lethality is not going to be worth it. I wouldn't worry about dominance here. Your meteors are going to do knockdowns even without that. And then athleticism, we're not really running all that much. I'm usually floating with levitate, to be honest. So that about covers things up for the Sorcerer class. Very, very strong class. It's also a class where I highly suggest you have a good front line. So real fast, where's the Rift? We're going to go to the Rift Crystal. I'm going to get rid of this Archer and pull a Thief out. I'd rather have more units at the front when I am playing as a Sorcerer. So we're just going to pick the first Thief or Fighter that we see in the Rift, and we'll yank it on out. You could also pull out a second Sorcerer, and then that way you have dual casting going on, which is always really good. There we go. Goodbye. He's probably all confused because I already canceled. I already sent Zenobia away previously. Just tall, very tall thief. My character is also the shortest stature in the game. I wanted that stamina to thief stuff. Either way, let's go. Let's warp on over and blow up a dragon and some other things.
We seem to have arrived without issue, but are we safe here? Pray, light your lantern, Master.
There they go.
A formidable foe. I hope we have not met our match.
I'm gonna get Haggle up. Now I'm gonna get my stamina up.
Its heart is most humble.
Oh, come on, get it out. There we go. Oh, on the heart, on the heart. There we go. Now that that's up, I'm just gonna sit here and... Oh, nope, nope, you're not gonna hit me with those. You can see the flare going off there. We're just turning our flare into a bomb. It's probably enough that he's dead. Goodbye, dragon. You tried. Boom! 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 It's just satisfying, man. One thing to keep in mind with Levitate, like, you can go, but you'll still take fall damage. Like, we're getting higher and higher, and when this eventually runs out, you know, we're gonna fall, and if someone's not there to catch us... Oh, well, that time we didn't. But you can take fall damage from it, so just be aware of it. He's trying to get on me. No, sir. Flare is really all you need against Doulahan's. It's about to detonate. I'm gonna try and put a thunder mine on top of him just for lulz. Yeah, you can see the damage isn't all that good on thunder mine. What's fantastic is it's constantly hitting that face, and on smaller enemies, that's gonna make sure that they can't do all that much. They just can't approach me. Bro, it's all over. Just stop. Whee, goodbye. Oh no, you survived that. No, you're dead. You can kind of time the levitate if a little bit, but you'll see it's like you need to hit it before you begin tilting, otherwise you are going to fall and take damage. So you can't just like leap off a giant cliff and then go into a levitate. That ain't going to work.
Chest be hiding. I must know.
Let us hope your curiosity will be rewarded.
See, and this is the problem with Meteoron. Like, if I were to cast it here, you know, unless I can get this Chimera to come out of the cave.
Fast and true, and our quarry shall fall. Of course.
Those ones are actually going through the cave. Now I feel like a fool. Now, underground caves, they don't work. I guess because this is, like, not technically a true cave, it is working. Well, let's see. Now that I'm, like, properly inside of it, let me try. Look, like, we're gonna hit it with barrels.
Fire must be put out to give our comrade Earth.
Yeah, so now that we're properly inside the cave, you can see that's just not working. But this is where, you know, this is where other stuff comes in. Haggle, we're gonna freeze that dude on up. Blank range thunder mine, Lamau. Which, if you want to replace something from this kit, I would recommend thunder mine. The thing with thunder mine is it's good to keep the little guys away from you while you're getting off casts. But if you have a good front line, in theory, you don't really need it. So I would go either Levin for fast damage or Salamander for the fire floor. But Flare will, I mean, Flare does all the damage you need. I gotta get over to those little guys so that we can show Thunder Mine and how it works.
What fails to destroy us only enhances our chances against future adversaries.
Which actually, let me just pull on. I'll pull on and show off some of the other spells because I do like them a lot. Levin is goated. Salamander is good. Maelstrom.
Pray, allow me to open yon chest.
Yeah, like Levin, especially against these ghosts. Look how fast that is, a quick cast. Just boom, just instant.
I shan't let them off. Let my magic imbue your weapon with the.
That's what I like about Evan so much. Even though Levin is a basic tier ability, the sheer speed that you can perform that cast is super, super good.
I'll gather these now. It would be a shame to forget their location.
And if you're not running Thunder Mine for the defensive capabilities, you can't go wrong with Levin. We gotta actually direct this ability. And unfortunately, you can't stack it. I wish you could stack Salamanders. That would make it really cool. Like, you can put out multiple, but I don't think it counts as like multiple damage instances happening at the same time. I'm gonna kill it before I get this off. The other thing about Maelstrom is it's very big, it's very strong, but it also makes things kind of hard to see. It's not as bad as it was in the first game. In the first game, Maelstrom went up, you were just blind. Like, you couldn't even tell what was going on the screen. Here, at least, you can make out stuff around it. And away it goes!
Most impressive, Master.
More victories like that when I'm running for that.
Outstanding.
You're not Arisen. I shall do my utmost to see that it all comes within the end.
Here, an enchantment of cold to freeze our foes. You are in need of healing. Allow me.
What's that big Cyclops we saw? I still don't get how we got that Cyclops all of a sudden. I haven't seen him on any other subsequent attempts. He just like happened to be wandering that one time and was like, hey, I want to die. Okay. We can arrange that. I was hoping there'd be some goblins in the entrance, but I'm seeing nothing. We're gonna see if we can find that Cyclops. I mean, it did seem like he was like just a random spawn.
That's quite the drop.
Take care not to fall.
One cannot be too careful. While travelling beyond the rift, I uncovered a treasure chest hidden in this very locale. Shall we seek it out?
Against trash, though, Salamander feels good.
Poison is a nasty affliction.
That Gore Cyclops go? Where's that Gore Cyclops at? I'm not seeing the Gore Cyclops. Oh, there's something big.
On my way.
Oh, never mind, just a bull scale. I got a singular health bar. I don't know what's doing it though. Oh, there you are. So he climbed all the way up. Right now it's just peeling off all of his armor, so we're not really seeing a lot of raw damage at the moment. Now that the armor's off, he's starting to tick though. see that 11 snipes, just boom, 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 boom. Very fast, very consistent.
My curative magics are at your disposal. Hold right there.
I was hoping I could finish him off with the spam casts. Which I'm not sure how good that is. I mean, they work, but I feel like you're still better off with the initial burst from just casting individually. Either way though, that is going to wrap things up for the Sorcerer. So up next we're going to the tank, and I will catch y'all then.